More than just a longer Mini, this Clubman model delivers its extra practicality in style. If you like the standard model but need a little extra versatility, then this could be just up your street. It's hard to think of a modern day motoring success story to rival that of BMW's Mini. The Bavarians took the 60s design icon, supersized it and made it the ultimate automotive fashion accessory for the early years of the 21st century. But the car's cheeky compact size was both its greatest draw and its only real limiting factor. If the same design could be produced with a dash more practicality, couldn't many more customers be persuaded to join the great Mini adventure? Now the prospect was tempting, but the problem for the German designers was in creating a truly versatile family car that kept the original three-door model's essential mininess. Now they'd already watched rivals Mercedes try and fail to develop their smart brand in the same way. And what they came up with was this car, the Mini Clubman. It was a car that was curious, quirky and thoroughly individualistic, a perfect fit for a brand that has always been all of those things. Now the cheeky, chuckable feel is a major reason why people love their Minis. So the main aim with this Clubman model was to keep that experience intact, and that's been broadly achieved, despite the need for a few small changes, an 80mm longer wheelbase and revised suspension settings. So it still steers exactly where you point it. There's still the same quick-witted 6-speed gearbox and potent brakes. And yes, the ride is still a little on the firm side. Now the downsides to Clubman motoring are principally practical ones. To be fair, the rear visibility isn't great, due both to the fact that the rear side windows are fairly small, and more pertinently to the fact that because there are twin rear doors rather than a single rear hatch, the rear windscreen is partly obscured by thick black door frames down the centre. Now, to be fair, Clubman owners tell us that they quickly adapted to both of these things, and in any case, if you wanted predictable practicality, you wouldn't be buying a Mini in the first place. Under the bonnet, you'll find most of the engines familiar from the Mini hatch model. That means a 1.6 litre diesel and 4 1.6 litre petrol engines, a 98 brake horsepower unit in the Mini 1 version, a 122 brake horsepower power plant in the Mini Cooper, and then a couple of 1.6 litre turbos, developing either 184 brake horsepower in the Cooper S or 211 brake horsepower in this John Cooper Works variant. Now, thanks to the fact that the Clubman carries around just 135 kilograms more in weight than the standard Mini hatch, all are pleasantly rapid, with even the entry-level Mini 1 making rest to 60 in 10.5 seconds. That's half a second slower than the diesel version. The same increment in this John Cooper Works model takes just 6.8 seconds. Let me start this section by making one thing clear to my journalistic colleagues who've criticised the practicality of this car. It's not called a Mini estate, nor was it ever intended to be any kind of conventional compact estate car. It was only ever claimed to be a Mini with a dash of extra versatility. Now approach it expecting exactly that and you'll be impressed. Arrive expecting some kind of compact Mini MPV and you won't be. So let's take a look at exactly what you get. 5 doors certainly, but not in the places that you expect them to be. Perhaps most controversial is the inclusion of this door. The designers call it a club door, and it's hinged on its rearmost edge so that it opens in the opposite direction to those at the front. Now it's positioned on the right hand side of the Clubman and there's no equivalent on the left, and that means that rear seat passengers in right hand drive markets like the UK have to enter into the road if the car is parked in the direction of traffic. Now this is hardly ideal, and of course Mini recognises the fact, but adds that actually adding another door or repositioning this door on the other side would mean repositioning the fuel tank, which would be hard enough if there was somewhere for it to go. But with this Clubman being just 24 centimetres longer than the standard 3-door Mini, that's a problem. But is this as big a day-to-day issue as it might sound? Well, again, most Clubman owners appear to think not. It's another issue of perception. Don't think of this as an extra door, but simply an opening panel. that facilitates entry to the rear once you've folded forward the front driver's seat, just as you would in any three-door hatchback. Once you are seated in the back, there's a surprising amount of headroom, even for two fully grown adults. Plus the extra 80mm of knee room that you get over a three-door Mini makes all the difference. 3 children could be accommodated reasonably easily if you go for the 3-person bench rather than the standard 2-person Mini pods, but they won't be that pleased to find out that they can't open the side windows. And luggage space, well, I did say there were 5 doors. Here are the other 2, side hinged and intentionally retro to evoke memories of the old Countryman, Traveller and yes, Clubman versions of the original British Mini. Now there's 260 litres back here. The extra 100 litres you get over a 3-door Mini, enough just for 4 people's very carefully packed luggage on a weekend away. In a Mini, whoever would have thought it? There's a shallow underfloor storage area here for valuables, and of course you can push the rear seats forward. There's 50-50 split to create a luggage area that, thanks to the Clubman model's higher roofline, gives you 930 litres of carriage space. List prices suggest that you'll be paying somewhere between £13,500 and £22,500 for your Mini Clubman. That represents a premium of around £1,000 model for model over the standard 3-door version. As to what you compare the Clubman to, well, there's nothing else on the market quite like it, which if you want one is probably why. Of course there are other trendy yet affordable practical small cars, but exactly which ones you compare this Clubman to will depend on exactly which Mini derivative you're looking at. If you're shopping at Clubman 1 entry level, then you'll be comparing it perhaps to entry-level super Mini estates like Renault's Clio Sport Tourer or Peugeot's 207 SW, which with the same engine will cost you around £600 less. If you're looking at Kia's trendy Soul, then you could save about double that. But generally this Mini is pretty good value. Take the Cooper Clubman version. You'd be paying around the same for that as you would for Toyota's Yaris Super Mini based urban cruiser, which in petrol form offers 10 brake horsepower less than the Clubman. And the trendy outdoor variant of Peugeot's 207 SW costs £1,300 more, with exactly the same 122 brake horsepower, 1.6 litre petrol engine. Standard equipment on all models includes a CD player, power front windows and mirrors, driver's seat height adjustment, and remote central locking. Safety-wise, you get 6 airbags plus curtain airbags built into the roof lining that protect rear seat passengers. You've also got ABS with electronic brake force distribution and cornering brake control. You've also got Mini's dynamic stability control system that incorporates traction control, stability control and hill start assist. Now the Clubman includes an integrated package of technologies designed to maximise efficiency and reduce running costs. Brake energy regeneration, for example. It recovers energy that would normally be lost under braking or under low engine loads and uses it to recharge the battery so that the engine can divert more of its efforts to powering the car. Then you've got an auto start-stop system which stops the engine when the clutch is released and the gearbox is in neutral, meaning that your Clubman will use less fuel when it's stuck in traffic or waiting at the lights. You've also got a gear shift point indicator that tells you the best time or the optimum time to change up or change down gear. The end result of all these small systems is big. Fuel consumption is exemplary across the range, with even the moderately powerful petrol Cooper model returning 52.3 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle, with 127 grams per kilometre emissions. And even the fiery Cooper S manages a creditable 48.7 miles to the gallon and 136 grams per kilometre. The star of the show, predictably, is the 1.6 litre diesel, which manages 68.9 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and a frugal 109 grams per kilometre of CO2 emissions. Insurance groups across the range, well, for mainstream models you're looking at sort of 6 to 8 in terms of grouping, but for this JCW high performance variant at the top of the range it could be as high as 17. Residual values are superb. You could get as much as 64% of your original purchase price back after 3 years or 36,000 miles. Simply stretching out the standard car into a conventional family hatchback shape to create this Clubman wouldn't have been very mini, would it? Sure enough, the designers have done their damnedest to make this a distinct and desirable car in its own right. Now, the result is certainly unusual, but it's also definitely a Mini, and we've seen how the buying public react to those. If you always fancied a Mini before family responsibilities intervened, then here's a chance to own one that has a modicum of practicality. If, on the other hand, you simply want a car that's small, sensible and a bit different, then this Clubman could also appeal. Either way, buyers will need to be people unafraid to fly in the face of convention. If that's you, then a bigger Mini adventure beckons.